Reality, Truth, and Consequences. I'm your host, M. Backham. I thank you for tuning in. I hope to do this more often. I'm working on ways to do this live and so in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, guide my words, oh Allah. This guy, they say this guy is crazy, you know, he's this and that. He may be that and this and maybe in a full bag of popcorn as well. But I listen to the words and do the research on the words to
fundamentally, Alex
verify.
Jones is right about a lot of things. And in fact, that's why they don't like it. Alex Jones has an uncanny, really amazing ability to predict events before they happen.
Satisfy your intellect.
And he's done it on tape.
Satisfy your intellect.
To the point where it's a meme on the internet. Alex Jones
you take this water that we bring to the well.
But when you dig into Alex Jones's predictions, they are so spot on
that is at the well
that it's remarkable.
Whether you believe Revelation or not, the evil globalists, the selfish globalists, are using it as a blueprint and literally building the mark of the beast cashless society, where you don't just, I agree to take this mark, I can buy and sell now. You have to worship the beast that can be seen by all on earth at the same time. It describes these big holograms you've got to watch and worship. And it tells you what to do. And it tells you how to live. And it says men become women and women become men and children are set upon their parents. And there's nothing but wickedness being invented. And it describes everything that's now happening and says when they roll this out, you've got to worship this world government. You've got to worship this system and do exactly what it says, or it doesn't let you buy and sell. And so whether people believe in the Bible or not, believe in Revelation or not, it is now manifesting.
I don't see a lie in that.
You gain your reasoning. To gain reasoning, we have some understanding here. So CERN, like I said, CERN, a self-governing entity. I found that just wow, astonishing. Like Washington D.C. or like the Vatican. This CERN is 27-mile radius state country. But yeah, its location, and so there's different things now that as we're physical conditions, so that to make this these old wine skins, anew. As and behold, as we make all things new, as we grow.
Washington Post, latest outlet, telling Americans doing own research is bad. And the first example they use in the big report, we have a screenshot of right here with a link to it on the site, is Infowars.com reporting that leftists have been caught setting fires in Australia, and they say it's false, but then later in the article admit it's actually true, hoping you don't read deeper, and then we got it from the AP of Australia and the Brisbane Times.
Okay. Well, the scientific purpose is to take particles and accelerate them towards reaching the threshold with the speed of light, and to then collide them, fracturing them into smaller particles for the purpose of trying to determine the basis for creation, trying to find the building blocks of the universe and all known life. And that's what science will tell you in the public arena. But where my research has led me is into the hidden agenda at CERN. And that's really been my calling from the Lord, is to really reveal the truth behind the public agendas at CERN, which is a nuclear research facility utilizing a particle collider.
Now, it's in a giant, somewhat circular shape that covers, how many miles is that whole collider?
Yeah, as you travel along it, you cover 27 miles. 17
miles.
Kilometers. Well, geographically on the map, it's located on the border between Switzerland and France. It's near Geneva. It's a sovereign state unto itself.
What's a sovereign state unto itself?
That would be a self-governing body They are much like the Vatican.
So the I never heard this before. The Collider is in its own state like the Vatican?
And similar to Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia.
Yearn and learn, Earth, Wind, and Fire. But yeah, like D.C., like CERN here, this thing is something else, you know? Bottomless pit, you know? That's it. That's something. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that, taught us that we could not fathom the depth of the wickedness, you know, of this beast.
Did you know that the Bible tells us where Satan dwells? What? Yes, did you know that the Bible actually tells us where Satan lives? In both Revelation chapter 2, verse 13, and Revelation 9, verse 11.
I know thy works and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is. And thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you where Satan dwelleth. But I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication.
So where was St. Antipas martyred? Well, St. Antipas was martyred during the reign of Nero by burning in a brazen bull-shaped altar at the Apollyon Temple, which happens to be located in Geneva, Switzerland. What?
You know, evil, that beast. What is this beast? This beast is just evil.
So what else is located in Geneva? Well, CERN, which has a 666 logo, is located directly on top of the exact location where Antipas was martyred. So what is CERN discovering? Well, let's check out their website. And on the CERN website, it reads, at the Large Hadron Collider, says that the Titanic machine may possibly create or discover previously unimagined scientific phenomenon, or unknown unknowns, for instance, an extra dimension. And out of this door might come something, or we might send something through it, says Sergio Bertolucci, who is the Director of Research and Scientific Computing at CERN, briefing reporters, including the REG at CERN headquarters earlier this week. We're looking here at an imminent visit from a race of carnivorous dinosaur men, the superhuman clone hive legions of some evil genetic queen empress, infinite polypantheons of dark nega-deities imprisoned for aeons and hungering to feast upon human souls, a parallel history victorious Nazi global Reich or something of that type. But what else is located at Geneva? Is it possible that Satan would actually want to bring the world's most powerful organizations to where he lives? Why does the United Nations have an office in Geneva? Why is the World Health Organization located in Geneva? Why is Gavi, the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunizations, headquartered in Geneva? Why is the World Economic Forum and their 666 logo located in Geneva? Why is there a statue of the goddess of destruction Shiva located directly in front of CERN?
Power by any means necessary, or should we say all means necessary, any and all.
What it is basically a giant ring, and it goes several miles in circumference. When it goes around, what it is doing is firing particles at nearly the speed of light in opposite directions so they collide. But outside is a very peculiar entity. It's Shiva. Shiva is this entity that they have outside their facility, and you just wonder, why would they have this? This has to do with the goddess of destruction.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
There is a significant section of CERN that is built upon the Saint genus Poeli, and a temple were dedicated there in ancient times to Apollyon, the angel of the bottomless pit.
Chapter 9. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit, and he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit, And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads.
Why did the United States military decide to name their autonomous drones that are capable of killing people? Yes, these are AI-controlled drones. Why do they call this technology Locust?
Symbolism. In some of the world, they said these are amulets. So some amulets are more than just symbol. They're actual, put to some kind of use, be it practical, impractical. That's immaterial right now, because that's what is done. These things it's hard to believe these things, but this is why you must do your own research, again, to satisfy your intellect. Grab hold of one thing and go do the research on it and prove it to yourself or disprove it. The scriptures advises us to prove all things, and hold on to that which is good. So do this together. Comment, hit me back, So we definitely do not want to mislead, misguide, or misinform myself or you.
A blue sky Tennessee day, but there's a storm coming. Look a little closer and it's a city under siege. Piercing the air around the Fort Campbell base, a mob of drones on the hunt. There's nobody around here. The city's been constructed by a US military experimental unit to see how swarms of unmanned systems can storm urban environments. At least 250 drones and school bag-sized rovers, working with different levels of autonomy.
Before I move on here, I wanted to mention I got off the bottomless pit, where Satan dwells, and what else I got here? Statue of Shiva. Okay, drones. I didn't mention about the drones and stuff. Being like locusts and what. This stuff is hard to believe. Again, so do your own research. And we went off.
Statue of Shiva, the god of destruction.
Yeah,
is right there outside the headquarters at CERN. They produced a video last year from CERN called Symmetry, complete satanic rituals. Recently, just a few days ago, there was the opening of the Goddard Tunnel in Switzerland near CERN. Purely demonic rituals.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
Go ahead, sir.
It was terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
That video of the demonic rituals of opening the tunnel, and I only had a brief opportunity to look at it. I saw what was going on. It was an openly demonic. It was devoted to the worship of Satan.
It's in our face.
But I didn't. I knew that it was the Goddard Tunnel, but I didn't realize it was connected to the whole CERN thing.
Well, physically it's not connected.
Right.
I want to make that clear. But in the sense of the spiritual world and the communication through ritual, they are connected. And in fact, in that ceremony, that demonstration, they showed the opening of the portal that CERN will achieve. And the tunnel itself represents, in physics, quantum tunneling, which is a communication utilizing an artificially intelligent computer, an adiabatic quantum computer, which runs its computations through another dimension, retrieves that information from another dimension, achieving a solution that we can use in our world. Now that is real, that's not fantasy, that comes right from the manufacturer. This is the machine that is employed now, just recently, now at CERN, and will be responsible for the initiation of the opening of the portal and the stability, the holding open of the portal for the receiving of, and I'll give this definitively, it's digitized DNA, demonic DNA, in a digitized form.
Because as you said, Lucifer desires to be God, as the Bible says, and Lucifer desires to create his own race in his own image.
Exactly.
And I think you would agree, this is very hard for many Christians to grasp. It's a truth that it's hard for Christians to really own. And that is The world is exactly as the Bible says that it is.
Yes, it is.
And there's an invisible world, Lucifer at the top, his hierarchy of demons. He compartmentalizes information on a need-to-know basis. And at the very top, there are men and women who are open Luciferians.
Yes, indeed.
They have committed themselves. They participate in rituals to the worship of Satan.
The Bank of International Settlements. Have you heard of the Bank of International Settlements? You must do your research on it. It just takes just a Google or a Siri. Don't take but that long to do just a brief. Just check it out. You don't have to spend all day with it. Just satisfy your intellect. Yeah, remember? Yeah. Satisfy your intellect. Don't be of those who are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Seek, and you'll find. Ask, it will be given. Knock, and the door shall be open. But you got to be moving towards it. So this Joy Reid is something else. The Bank of International Settlements. That's the bit. That's the top of the Western world wealth line.
Difficult as it was for me, I have come to an inescapable and profoundly disturbing conclusion. I believe that an elite group of people and the corporations they run have gained control over not just our energy, food supply, education, and healthcare, but over virtually every aspect of our lives.
Now, the central banks, okay, they have the central bank of central banks. So at the top of the central banks, there is the Bank of International Settlements. Now, this is the guy who's the head of the Bank of International Settlements. No, he's not in Star Wars. Quit asking. Isn't this guy in Star Wars? Didn't he and Han Solo have a problem? Didn't Han Solo owe money to this guy? Is that the problem?
It's not Jabba?
No, it's not. That's not who it is.
Okay.
This is Augustin Carstens. He did not freeze Han Solo and Carbonite.
Okay.
So let me hit play here. Let's see what kind of motivational things this guy has to say, because he's the one who's in charge of the Bank of International Settlements.
We know very well that we can construct a CBDC system that that basically does what is essential in all this discussion, which is the mapping of an individual to an account. And it's a fact of identification. I mean, that's essential. We cannot exist without that. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability.
Ultimately, the savvy Democratic strategists know this is going to help Trump, and they want him to be the nominee because he is the weakest of the Republican candidates, the most likely to lose again to Biden.
And tonight, I'm also making another promise to protect Americans from government tyranny. As your president, I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. You know about that?
So we want you to do your own research. We want you to look into this because undoubtedly you're going to find even more stuff than we found. Because when we get millions of people to start digging, that's when things get interesting. So let me show you these headlines. John Fleetwood is a researcher, highly recommended by Dr. Bartlett. He's joining us next hour. Ebola vaccine that sheds onto and infects others, 31% rate of the time given to Colorado healthcare workers just down the road from the new Ebola bat lab.
They got a 666 logo. They're talking about how Virus X is going to be coming out here soon. It's going to be 20 times more deadly than COVID.
Yep.
By the way, the BBC has reported that they are creating a vaccine for disease X before there's even disease X. So she comes out here. They start off the festivities at the World Economic Forum with a witch doctor.
Ooh.
I kept thinking this was going to go into like a Frankie Valli song. Ooka chaka. She's spreading the virus right now.
Oh my gosh.
There's disease X right
Pastor
there.
Jackson,
That's how it
she's like the
passes.
prayer team. She's anointing people like the prayer team, man.
God, this is real. Now,
this is gross, man. She's anointing them.
Most Christian men I know will not speak about their faith publicly because they're ashamed. Meanwhile, at the World Economic Forum, they got a 666 logo and they got a witch doctor out there doing uka chaka.
You and I have to think over these things, you know. We have to think over these things, as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad would say. Think over these things. Censorship, cover-ups, and entrapments that goes on worldwide. It's not, it's worldwide. And basically it's always been.
Someone who perhaps hasn't been saved, and use that as leverage, as inducement, as a way to get them to begin to think critically for themselves. Something that a lot of us have lost because of environmental, because of culture, because of education system, the indoctrination processes we've talked about, have lost that critical analytical process.
Yeah, right.
That critical thinking skill. It's a skill set.
Right.
But if you can take the evidence and encourage someone to use their rudimentary abilities to think critically and examine the evidence and perhaps pursue that evidence, which is the purpose of my books, then they can come to a realization themselves that the evidence speaks for itself. Not only the physics that's going on, but the agenda that's driving the physics, because I often say you cannot separate the physical from the spiritual.
Right.
So to say that science operates in a vacuum is full of hot air.
Yeah, right.
It's nonsense.
Right.
So science is definitely, it's alchemy.
Yes.
Of
alchemy.
old today.
Right. Sorcery.
It is sorcery,
Right.
and it is spiritual, but they're integrated together. The goal is to take the evidence and save souls.
To take the evidence
and save
that you're
souls.
talking about and save souls.
Exactly.
And I agree with you, because, you know, there's so many young people, the millennial generation, younger, adults of all age groups. They're turned off by religion. They're turned off by the religion of Christianity. But when you start to use these scientific facts, which are loosely interpreted in all the movies they're watching, the one with Johnny Depp when he uploads his consciousness into a computer, and we could go on and on and on.
Sure.
You grab
that is tangible and relatable.
Right.
It has relevance to their frame of mind and their present way of thinking and their culture.
Exactly.
The generation.
Yes.
It's relevant to them because you can give them something that's not only tangible,
right,
but something that they understand because of the predictive programming they've been fed.
Right, right.
We flip that around 180 degrees, that programming, and say, use that programming as evidence to say, here's the truth.
I want to back up. You know, we must be able to prove what we're talking about, what we believe, what we're thinking, you know, why we think what we think. And once that message is there, then when we deny reality, what are we accepting? I mean, if it's one thing is for sure, we do know that we have been accepting falsehood. Yeah, that's one thing we know for sure, that we have been accepting falsehoods. Bunny rabbits and chicken eggs and you know, and all those kinds of things. Okay. Those are falsehoods, and we know that we've accepted them. So clearly we've not accepted the truth. The World Economic Forum, which I don't know if that was Joy Reid or something else, but anyway,
But, you know, I feel like the important sort of data point, and you know, Steve talks about it a lot, he's going to probably talk about it a little more tonight, is that these are white Christians. That this is a state that is overrepresented by white Christians that are going to participate in these caucuses, yes. Especially tonight. Earlier today, reached out to Robbie Jones from the Public Religion Research Institute, knowing that we were going to talk about Iowa. And this is a hyper-evangelical white state. And he said the following to me: Iowa is about 61% white Christian. The country as a whole is approximately 41% white Christian. And in Iowa, we're talking about evangelical white Christians. And he said the following, because I asked him, what do they get out of supporting Donald Trump? Because he keeps losing, he keeps delivering losses and losses and losses. And he said the following: they see themselves as the rightful inheritors of this country, and Trump has promised to give it back to them. All the things that we think about electability, about, you know, what are people gaming out, or none of that matters when you believe that God has given you this country, that it is yours, and that everyone who is not a white conservative Christian is a fraudulent American.
And so we have Democrat senators preparing legislation. We have all these big think tanks. We have the Soros group. We have all the usual suspects, the spooks of the CIA and the FBI, Brennan, Clapper, Mary McCord, all of them running around saying he's going to be a dictator. He's going to use the military on us. So we've got to use the military on him. We've got to organize inside the military, even if we can't pass a law, to have them stop Trump. So they're openly forming either a legislative coup, which would be a constitutional crisis to have Congress in control of the military, or they're just normalizing it to have a group of generals and people they control, which is the most of them at the top, to try to convince our military to go to war with Trump and his supporters, which I've played the clips here on MSNBC and CNN, where they have former Defense Department officials and former CIA operatives saying, we need to have Homeland Security's main mission be Trump supporters and the American people. So they're openly externalizing their coup, taking over the military, having it wage war with the people, with movies like Civil War coming out and Leaving the World Forever, produced by Obama, about cyber attacks and race war and total societal collapse. So they are in total and complete panic mode right now. And now saying, okay, the plan is if he gets in, we'll trigger race war across the U.S. We'll have a military coup against him and remove him that way. Wow. And then they normalize it by saying to stop a military coup, we must take control of the chain of command so the president doesn't command the military. See the inversion, see the projection, see the doublethink, see the gaslighting, see the over-the-top fraud.
But I'm looking at this tweet that says, a network of public interest groups and lawmakers nervous about former President Trump's potential return to power is quietly devising plans to foil any effort on his part to pressure the U.S. military to carry out his political agenda. So I made a tweet about this being effectively like an advanced plan to end civilian-run government, because the president doesn't pressure the military to do something. The president, elected by the people, the civilians, sits on top of the chain of command. He's the commander-in-chief of the military. He doesn't pressure the military to do something. He's the boss of the military, and he derives the authority of being that boss because he's voted for by the people. If the military defies the commander-in-chief, then that is the military unilaterally defying the will of the people.
Stage a military coup against him. Everything they've accused Trump of. Now, they know a lot of the public doesn't understand the Constitution or what a coup is. A coup is when the military is not under the elected president's command or prime minister and moves against that government. It's against an elected government. But they spin it and say, he's going to use the military against us. So Senator Blumenthal and a bunch of Democrats are introducing a bill to remove the power to call out the National Guard for Black Lives Matter riots. They specifically mentioned that. So translate that. they're going to have the summer of love, the summer of burning everything down and murdering people in mass and defunding the police times 10, claim Trump's Hitler, and then basically try to force him from office and have the military and the National Guard not be able to be invoked with the Insurrection Act they've been trying to already use against Trump but have no evidence. Of course, the Insurrection Act was first set up a long time ago for domestic insurrection when not people are trying to declare a Declaration of Independence, but when they are literally trying to overthrow the U.S. government itself to put in some type of communist regime or many other permutations of that. But the last time it was invoked was in 1992 with George Herbert Walker Bush during the L.A. riots that killed masses of people and burned down large parts of one of the United States' most populous cities.
Okay. Boy, they murdered our friend Colonel Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi, took his gold. Oh man, and opened up. As Brother Gaddafi said that, he said, "What are you doing? You're going to release the dogs of war." Boy, oh boy, there it was too. Libya is not in good shape right now.
If you have a good two-way communication system directly between brains and computers, it also means you can connect several brains together to create an inter-brain net because it's the same system, the same communication system. And nobody has any idea what this means for things like identity. Who am I when I can access directly the brain of another person?
There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord.
There's a reawakening tour. I want to mention this here. Reawakening tour that's going to be in Detroit, Michigan in June. This is, I would say, what they call the right-wing hierarchy, elite. The Trumps, his former administration officials and pastors, and it's just a whole array. General Flynn, there's a whole array of, I guess they call them right-wing conservative Christians. But I want to go, and because I find the information and the experience, there's value to it. These are good people, in my opinion, and we must study. Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, he studied the white man. He is successful. So we're told to study, and we study our own brothers too. Now, I just don't. We don't necessarily have to limit it to that. No, you study all people, and see who is successful and how they're successful.
On June 7th and 8th, the Reawaken America Tour heads into Motown in Detroit, Michigan for the final Reawaken America Tour. Michigan Megabull! Michigan Megabull! Michigan Megabull! Yes, ladies and gentlemen, on June 7th and 8th, the Reawaken America Tour heads to the home of Governor Whitmer, the home of lockdowns, Motown, and it's going to be profound. Ladies and gentlemen, get those tickets right now at timetofreeamerica.com.
Gretchen Whitmer has spent most of her working life in the grubby, small-bore confines of Michigan state politics. That is not a training ground for excellence. She banned the sale of carpets and paint and potted plants. She told people they couldn't fish or go to church or drive alone to their own homes.
Today I'm issuing a stay home, stay safe executive order for all Michiganders, and it goes into effect just after midnight tonight. for at least the next 3 weeks.
We know that this rally endangered people. This kind of activity will put more people at risk.
And I hate to say it, but we know that some people will gather anyway.
And that is why we are taking the final Reawaken America tour into Detroit, Michigan on June 7th and 8th. Once again, folks, we're taking the final Reawaken America tour into Detroit, Michigan on June 7th and 8th, 2024.
This is history in the making. You're going to want to tell your grandkids and their grandkids and their grandkids. And when they look back in the annals of history, they're going to be talking about three things: discovery of fire, invention of the submarine, and the Michigan Mega Bowl.
Ebola, and they just giving it to there I go speaking in tongues again.
The difference of this forced industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take genetic editing, just as an example, it's you who are changed. And of course, this has a big impact on your identity.
And offers certain kinds of possibilities that have to be careful about. You know, when you began to do that kind of gene editing, some people worry that you are changing what it means to be human.
Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, this, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. Free will, that's over.
That's over.
Over.
Hard times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. The last person I heard recite that said that we are in we're in the time of weak men. I don't like to say that. I don't like to think that. I don't like to feel that. But it is a reality that, you know, we have men accepting men trying to be women. Stop right there. I gotta speak in tongues right there. You know, want me to wrap my head around this, around that. This way, that way, just twist me up like a right. Help me, somebody. Is there a doctor in the house? Call me a cab, Uber, whatever. I wanted to make mention too in this here that, you know, of my dad, you know, and my brother, cousins, you know, they served in the U.S. military in one form or another, and I had one cousin who I think it was had a medal pinned on him by the president. I think it was Carter at that time. I won't disclose any further. I hope I'm not sure if I got the whole story right, but I'll get it together and maybe bring it back and mention it other time, exact names and dates and that kind of thing. But anyway, my dad. So I just want to give a shout out to them. And that hard times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. The last person I heard recite that said that we are in we're in the time of weak men. I don't like to say that. I don't like to think that. I don't like to feel that. But it is a reality that, you know, we have men accepting men trying to be women. Stop right there. I gotta speak in tongues right there. You know, want me to wrap my head around this, around that. This way, that way, just twist me up like a press. Help me, somebody. Is there a doctor in the house? Call me a cab, Uber, whatever. Just listen to this stuff. Climate change, just nothingness. You know, we need to be fruitful and multiply, make babies. March for life. Make more babies. Without babies, where's humanity going without babies? I mean, come on, it doesn't take what they call a rocket science just to answer that question. If you're not making no babies, then there is no people. And the older people die out, and if you keep on not making no babies, well, you got no people. And when you have people who are in positions of authority telling, imposing on us, you know, shots, not to have babies, to accept men acting like women, and actually competing and hurting real women. I mean, physically hurting real women. So physical hurt and, you know, the mental hurt has to be much, much deeper. So, yeah, we're in a time of weak men. A point of strength right here. Thanks be to God. No people can claim that God himself has come to, except the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam with Master Fard Muhammad, whom it is said that the Almighty appeared in his person, the Master Fard Muhammad. His wisdom that he extracted back billions of years, trillions of years. The one that the light of the sun that, you know, it blinded out all of the writers of old, that they could not see past this wisdom of this one. And I am just so proud and happy to realize that God himself, you know, the God of the Bible, the God of the Quran, has fulfilled the words of the prophets. And he is, no people can claim that their flag, they receive their flag directly from God. Master Fard Muhammad gave us our flag. They represent freedom, justice, equality in Islam. make babies, But on that flag tip, that skull and bone flag of death, that was a flag that pirate, John Hopkins, I want to mention a little bit here about John Hopkins Hospital, John Hopkins Pier, because that's the name that you can find in the congressional records was the pirateer who tricked our people. Yeah, on the ship called, Jesus, And they had some other ships too, named after some of the other saints or whatever, Yeah. We're such a loving and trustful people. And what the I'll say what the European did was that they said, well, these people were fighting and trading amongst themselves. We didn't do anything other than what they've been doing to themselves. But that's not totally true. That's mixing truth and falsehood. So I mean that should be obvious to you. But make babies. Well, I don't be no baby in this world. Most of us, I'm sure that we were unplanned babies. LOL. Most of the time it just happens with our community. Most often, I'll put that away. Not all the time. I pray that some of us are learning to the proper how to give birth to a God, to God. On this, we have this border thing. If that's not clear to you, we've spoken on the invasion. But this farmland thing too now is come up into the news too, that millions of acres are owned by China and others in the United States, and the government, I forget who it is, which one of those alphabet letters, does not know how many acres or so they say. They don't know how much and or who owns it, because it's going through shell companies, fake companies. And a lot of this farmland that China owns is near military bases. And these people do not have the information that they can make a report to Congress on just what's going on with this farmland. Well, we know that the current administration, or the president, I have to say, the president has said that, no one from his family has ever gotten a dime from China, or he didn't know anything about his son's businesses. So again, here we are, weak men accepting falsehood. What can I do? What can you do? What can we do? Well, just get yourself tight, brother. Get yourself tight. Young and old, young and older. I don't like to say old. I don't like that word old. I like older. Young and older, younger and older. And get yourself tight, physically tight, and you got to get mentally tight. You got to have some knowledge up in our heads, brothers. It's time for us to, General Order Number 1, take charge of this post and all properties, temple properties in view. What temple? What temple properties are we talking about? What temple? Talking about the temple of God. What? It made me talk in tongues right there, didn't it? Yeah. That's General Order Number 1. Take charge of this post and all temple property in view. Observing everything within sight, smell, hearing, and sound. I'm going to close this out here. I think, again, please do some research if you desire, or I'm trying to work on another format here. I'm trying to learn how to get where we can do some live telephone calls where I can come at you, you know, live. But I would hope that you would give me a comment on, disagree on something. You want to offer me some other valuable information. I would love it. Two most powerful men in the world. And I don't want to say the two. I got two down here right now, but you know, it's, you know, I'll just say a few of the most powerful men in the world. Number 1 on my list, well, that's the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You know, he's the leader of the Nation of Islam, and I consider him my leader, my guide. You know, yeah, my guide. Donald Trump. That's a bad dude. That's all I can say about Donald Trump. He's a bad dude, you know. I think he loves America. He loves the America that he loves. Okay, the America that he loves is people. He was popping, making money, and everybody was doing what they were doing. But the America that I love, or that I consider was great, you know, was when we had our own basketball teams. We had our own baseball league. We had our own restaurants. We had our own hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. We had our own bus line. Had our own Dr. Claude Anderson and his familia. Had a bus line, you know. So when I hear "Make America Great Again," that's my only reference point that I can see, in my brain. I can understand that. I can't understand living in the times of the temples of the pyramids, riding camels. Okay, but I see, you know, this here. You know, we had our own, and was, you know, on the verge of having others. But that was a sign. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the first amongst us raised from the dead, established, you know, businesses, local, national, and international trade. Ships coming across the waters flying that's our flag. You know, I don't get off into farmland. I gotta mention that one. I don't like to get off into what all that had this, because I'm not one that always get into certain areas of detail, because I just know that it's there. I know that already, so so sometimes I skip around and some of the things that I cover, and the way I cover it, I guess, you know, it requires somewhat of a prerequisite knowledge, you know, of some of the things I'm talking about, so that, you know, that you can get started on things, you know. They want to criminalize farming. You know, in Pennsylvania, they raided this Amish farmer who's been farming for years and years and feeding people in his Amish community, people who, and outside too, who wanted his product, milk, chicken and etc. stuff. And for all these years, they've been doing it. Boom. Well, they don't want no small farms. Who's they? Well, who buying it all up? The Chinese and Bill Gates. Again, we can point at it. You can see these things if you have eyes that can see. I understand that right there. Praises be, but I'm going to I'll go ahead and close this out here again. I want to remind about them injecting the healthcare workers with a live Ebola. And they keep telling us that there's a disease X coming, disease unknown. We don't know what it is, but it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Oh Lord, they just killing us. And unfortunately, we just sitting here watching them do it. Ouch. We're just sitting here watching them do it, being entertained. Humanity, Team Humanity. I think that's Alex Jones and Elon Musk. They came to that conclusion after they were talking to Team Humanity. They got some Team Humanity t-shirts. I like that concept, Team Humanity. I really do. The censorship of the invasion, remember that now. And I got a note here, we must unite, Team Humanity. Ain't that something? Hackable animals, I can't leave this out either. I can't leave this out. Hackable animals. Yuval Harari, I hope I got this video clip here so that you can hear this. And I'm going to have to get it because you just got to hear it. And, yeah, just got to. I saw one other thing too. Oh, upgrade 2024. This year is going to be, it's going to be something else. Brothers, sisters and brothers. It's going to be something else. So we need to upgrade. I guess this goes to the new wine into the old skin. That goes right there. Let's hear them. It's a new year, a new you. Behold, I make all things new. Well, who is I? Who's the I in your life? If you said, I am, interesting. If I said, I exist, if I say, I believe, then I say, behold, watch this. I make all things new. I. Who is this I? I think that's just something to ponder right there. I'll be thinking on that more because the feeling I get of it seems like it's, like revelation. It's a realization, just a realization of revelation. Allahu Akbar, God is the greatest, Grande a Dios. My last note as I close this out. The baby is being born now. And the baby's being born now, I don't know, last 5 years or so. We're not going to leave them the world that we grew up in, the America that we know and knew. when times were, well, you know, memories. Gladys Knight, boy, I love the way she sang that song. The way we were, you know, the memories of gas being, in my memory, 18, 16, 7, maybe 14 cents a gallon, you know, and, riding mini bikes. But as a child, you know, we enjoyed our childhood, and now that with all this demoralizing policy, these policies are meant to demoralize us. You know, I fear that, you know, that the future for them is bleak, and that is if you and I, brothers, don't unite, stand, and get tight, because we have the world in our hands. Oh, what are we going to do with it? Peace and blessings. Thank you for your time and for listening. I'm your brother, fellow servant, and your host, Mbakam. Assalamu alaikum. La paz usted.
I can't get no can do.